Welcome to the Housing Search Workshop provided by Santa Clara County Housing Authority. SCCHA's mission is to provide and inspire affordable housing solutions to enable low-income people in Santa Clara County to achieve financial stability and self-reliance. I will provide a brief program overview and explain what to expect from your housing search process and provide tools that will enable you to take advantage of technology. After this presentation, you will know how to complete a rental application and have a better understanding of how to talk to prospective landlords. Now that you have been deemed eligible for the Section 8 program, you will be issued a Housing Choice Voucher. This voucher is for you to keep and shows the unit size that you have been awarded based on your family composition. You can find the issue date and expiration date on the first page. The Santa Clara County Housing Authority's payment standards have been updated effective March 1st of this year. The payment standard for a single room occupancy is $1,514 and moves up to $2,019 for a studio, $2,360 for a one bedroom, $2,851 for a two bedroom, $3,814 for a three bedroom, and so on. If you find a unit asking for a contract rent that is under your payment standard, you can complete an application for that unit. Meaning, if you have a three-bedroom voucher and find a four-bedroom house that is requesting $3,814 for the contract rent, you can turn in a request for tenancy approval packet for this unit. I'm going to explain the affordability factor in determining the maximum contract rent that you are approved for. Your portion of rent to the owner is 32% of your gross monthly income. However, the Housing Authority will allow you to apply up to 40% of your monthly gross household income towards the rent. For instance, if you have a gross monthly income of $1,000 and have a one-bedroom voucher, which has a payment standard of $2,360, the affordability factor can be determined by subtracting $320 from $400, which equals $80. The payment standard for a one-bedroom voucher is $2,360. Apply that $80 to $2,360, and we have $2,440. This is the max contract rent that you can be approved for based on 40% of your gross monthly income. Keep in mind that the unit must be comparably priced. Do not make any side payments to the owner for additional rent. That would be a program violation, and you could jeopardize your Housing Choice Voucher. Santa Clara County offers a competitive rental market, and keep in mind that that vacancy is very low right now and rents are extremely high. So if you're a current voucher holder and there isn't a need to move, then don't. If you are a new voucher recipient and looking to utilize your voucher with a new lease, ask your current landlord if you can apply the voucher to your current unit. Landlords are selective, and prepare yourself to complete a rental application and provide a credit report. Have the security deposit ahead of time and prepare yourself for commonly asked questions. Be prepared with a script by introducing yourself, leaving voicemail messages, sending emails, or explaining the program. Print the Section 8 pamphlet from our website, which you can give to the owner and explains the program more thoroughly. You should also have the following handouts: the payment standard, the blank application that can be printed from our website, a sample cover letter, and the Section 8 pamphlet. Make sure that you have references available and a folder to hold all your documents, and wear presentable clothing. Search for a unit in the area that you desire. Viewing the neighborhood not only during the day, but also at night ensures that you have a clear picture of all activities. Choose a location that is good schools for your children, or if it's near your doctor's office. Make sure that the unit is adequate for you and your family. If you have a family pet, find out if they are allowed. Also, if the unit has a yard, who's responsible for that maintenance? Which utilities do you have to pay? Try to obtain as much relevant information as possible to help you and your family make a decision on your new rental. Take advantage of technology. We recommend going online so you can use the most up-to-date listings available. Some paper ones, even our weekly ones, can be out of date very quickly. Here's a list of some websites that you can visit during your search. Go section8.com, apps.hud.gov/app/section8, Craigslist.org, rentals.com, homes.com, apartments.com, and forrent.com. Some useful search terms can be tried out on Craigslist. Go to Craigslist and demonstrate the different results when you put in Section 8 versus Section 8 OK. Some other terms could be Section 8 welcome, Section 8 approved, or Section 8 accepted. Navigate the Go Section 8 website and sign up as a tenant. And be on the lookout for housing scams. Some possible signs of a housing scam are: the deal is too good to be true, the rent is very low, and the landlord offers to pay all utilities. The actual address is not disclosed, so they may ask you for money or a credit card number before you view the property. And they may ask you to wire money. Now ask yourself, is that common? The landlord is out of town or out of the country. That's a definite red flag, so beware. We encourage you to come up with your own script in a language that is comfortable for you to describe the program. Here's an example. Hi, I'm part of the Housing Authority's Housing Choice Voucher program, which provides rental assistance for families. I pay part of the rent to you each month, and the rest of the rent will be paid to you by the Housing Authority. That's just one line that you can come up with. There are benefits for the owners who decide to join our program. Guaranteed regular payments from the Housing Authority, meaning landlords will receive regular monthly payments regardless of a tenant's financial situation, and there is no limit on program participation, so the owners may receive regular payments for years. We also provide loyalty payments for landlords if they re-rent to another Section 8 participant. They can be eligible for $1,500 as a loyalty payment. Re-renting must occur within 90 days of the last Section 8 participant vacating the unit. And for the new owner who has never rented to a Section 8 tenant in the past, they are eligible for a one-time payment up to $2,500, depending on the cost of the unit. How to talk to prospective landlords. Be prepared to answer questions about your credit history, your rental history, your household income, personal references, and the family composition. Have your answers ready and leave clear and detailed phone messages. There are 10 questions that landlords can't ask. The rental market is tough enough these days, especially in big cities. You have to scan the classifieds, jump on opportunities, and be ready to say yes at a moment's notice. So the last thing you need is for some landlord to refuse you a lease because of questions he or she actually is not allowed to ask. Here are 10 of those questions getting asked, and many of them should give you a pause. Question number 1, where were you born? It may be an innocent enough question, especially if you have an accent and the landlord picks up on it, but it's actually against the Fair Housing Act to ask questions regarding someone's nationality. A landlord cannot ask about your parents' nationality or upbringing either, or your spouse's. This is all information that should have no bearing on your application or suitability as a tenant. If a landlord does ask, penalties can be severe. Question number 2, have you ever been arrested for anything? If a landlord is asking this, they're probably trying to protect themselves from someone who could be trouble. But landlords are simply not allowed to know about your arrest record. They are entitled to know if you've been convicted of a crime, and that will come up on a standard background check. However, since innocent people can be arrested and then set free, landlords aren't entitled to arrest records. Number 3, what's your sexual orientation? This has absolutely no place in the conversation and cannot be asked by the landlord. It's a direct violation of the Fair Housing Act, and by doing so, the landlord could face severe penalties. If sexual orientation ever becomes an issue, know that it's a violation of the law. Question number 4, do you have any disabilities? Many landlords may be genuinely looking out for you here. They may know that the wheelchair access to the building is very poor, or that it would be tough to navigate for a blind person. That is all well and good, but it's not their concern. Someone with a disability has the same rights to rent a home or apartment as an able-bodied person. What's more, every apartment or home up for rent should be made available to a disabled tenant. If the landlord steers you to one particular apartment over others, they could actually face legal action. When it comes down to it, a person's disability, even if it's severe, cannot be brought into question when renting. It's also worth pointing out that pet policies do not apply for service animals. Question number 5, so tell me about your kids. Another big no-no. Anything relating to kids, whether it's their ages, how many you have, where they go to school, or if you're planning to have any. It's all off limits. Once again, this is all down the road of the Fair Housing Act. Landlords could use that information to discriminate against the tenant, especially those who believe that children are just cause for a lot of noise or mess. And the law does not allow for that. You may naturally bring up kids in conversation, especially if you're interested in a park in the area or local daycare centers, and that is your right, but the landlord cannot and should not initiate it. By the way, some landlords have found a way to skirt around this by assuming you have children and simply asking for their names on the application. You do not have to complete that information. Question number 6. So, do you go to church around here? Once again, this may seem like an innocent enough question, but probing about your religion is a direct violation of the Fair Housing Act. The landlord may not mean anything by it, but the assumption could be made that he or she is favoring Christian applicants over other tenants. Perhaps the landlord is biased for or against Muslims or atheists. None of this should have any impact on your application. Your faith or lack thereof is your concern and yours only. Should any question about religion come up, the landlord is breaking the law. Number 7, are you married? You have to wonder why that would be a concern for the landlord. After all, married people do not necessarily make for better or worse tenants. Some married couples are model citizens. Others fight constantly and may appear on an episode of Cops. But none of this is relevant anyway, because the landlord is not allowed to ask you anything about your marital status. Even a statement like, I see you two are engaged, might be prompted by seeing a ring, but it's not kosher. You do not have to answer this question, and the landlord asking it could be in trouble for doing so. Question number 8, are you on welfare? A landlord has every right to ask about income. After all, they need to know that you can pay the rent on time without any trouble. But where you get that income, that's different. If you're on welfare, receive food stamps, and get other kinds of benefits or public assistance, you can keep that information to yourself. The landlord cannot pry and cannot deny anyone tenancy based on that information. If he or she does, it's cause for an investigation by the local authorities. Question number 9, how old are you? Seems like a standard question, right? And most rental applications have a date of birth section for you to fill in. But asking about your age is another one of those protected pieces of information covered by the Fair Housing Act. It's quite possible a landlord wants to rent only to people in a certain age bracket, and this is against the law. The only time age can be introduced as a factor is if your application is for a senior community or a retirement center. Other than that, it's a no-go. Finally, what is your ethnic background? Similar to the nationality question, this is a huge violation of the Fair Housing Act, even if it's posed as a compliment like, you have such beautiful olive skin. Are your parents Greek or Spanish? The landlord is stepping way over the line. No questions about your race can be asked, and even if it comes up, you can report the landlord for discrimination. There are some possible questions that the landlord may ask. Prepare yourself by writing down these questions and your answers, and keep in mind practice makes perfect. Question number 1, why are you moving? When do you plan on moving in? What's your monthly income? Can I ask for references from your former landlords or employer? Will you submit a rental application and consent to a credit and background check? How many people will be living in the apartment? Again, write down these questions and write down your answers, and practice makes perfect, so practice with a friend or a family member on answering and asking the questions. There are local community resources that may help in your housing search. You can call 211 for the Emergency Assistance Network. They may be able to provide assistance with a portion of the security deposit based on the zip code. You need to have a signed lease and approved inspection report already before they will process your application. Agencies often run out of funds quickly at the beginning of the month, so call to get more information about their funding cycle and application process. And don't forget, initial vouchers expire 120 calendar days after they're issued. But if you need an extension, you can request it in writing before your voucher expires. The road to housing can be simplified in 3 stages. The search, you can search for a unit, complete the application process with the landlord, and get accepted. Then you have the owner complete the RAFTA packet. That stands for Request for Tenancy Approval. The second stage is you must submit the RAFTA packet to the Housing Authority. The Housing Authority schedules an inspection appointment within 3 to 5 business days. If a unit fails inspection, the owner has 10 days to complete the repairs. After the unit passes the inspection, the housing authority determines the contract rent with the owner. And the final stage is sign. The owner and the family must sign the HAP contract and lease, and the owner and the housing authority sign the HAP contract. And HAP stands for Housing Assistance Payments. The Housing Quality Standards, the HQS, is an inspection that needs to be passed. The unit that you select must pass the HQS inspection, including but not limited to the following: a working toilet and tub or shower, working sinks in the kitchen and bathroom with hot and cold water, working refrigerator, stove and oven, or microwave in some circumstances, locks on all exterior doors and accessible windows, a working heater, adequate lighting and ventilation, and working smoke detector and a safe escape route in case of a fire. The building must be structurally sound. If you have questions about this presentation, please contact your housing program specialist. Thank you for the time and best of luck on your housing search.